Almost 250,000 children across the UK are unhappy with their lives. This is according to a new report from the Children's Society, which finds kids' happiness with life is at its lowest level in a decade. Issues around appearance, friendships and school are identified as potential driving factors. And the charity has warned that declining happiness is a national scandal, exposing failings for vulnerable children. Well, joining us now to discuss this report is child psychologist Amanda Gunner. Good morning to you, Amanda.
Good morning.
It's interesting. This report is saying that 250,000 children in the UK are unhappy with their lives. The report suggests 7.7% of boys are unhappy with their appearance. Let's just look at those numbers, because 250,000 children in the UK in the grand scheme of things isn't actually that many, and 7.7% of boys unhappy with their appearance. There's over 90% of boys that are happy. Are we being a bit alarmist here?
I think it's all about the trends, and I think what we're seeing is an increase in unhappiness and dissatisfaction, and actually a narrowing of the gap. It was normally, historically, it's girls who've been more worried about their appearance, and actually that gap is closing, and boys are becoming more aware of how they look and more worried about their appearance.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I've just been reading a case study. James Simmons, 16, from Norfolk. As a 16-year-old boy, you have to look perfect with your haircut and your facial hair, or you get mocked if you don't. He says it's about reality TV shows and looking at the boys on Love Island, who have got millions of them, millions of fans following them on Instagram. You're expected to look like them, and that's a 16-year-old boy looking at men in their sort of early 20s.
And that's where I think we need to take things right back to the early years, and from a very early age teach children the difference between digital reality or digital lives and actual reality, and make sure that we give them that education so that they don't look at people on Instagram and Love Island contestants and think that that's real, because it's not. It's photoshopped, it's edited, it's artificial. And I think if we can give the children those skills and empower them to make those decisions from an early age, and they get that from a range of different ways, but if we can do that, then they won't be so susceptible to that feelings, the sort of self-esteem.
That's quite hard though, isn't it? Because quite a few adults feel inferior looking at social media, and they are well aware that it's all to do with editing, the right light, filters and what have you, digital manipulation. So children aren't stupid, they will get that, but they'll want to keep up with what they see on Instagram. So I just wonder if the horse has already bolted, unless you put up the age rating on social media, but then they'll get around that as well.
Well, exactly. And I think that's a sort of a sticking plaster, and I don't think that the age thing works. We know that children as young as 6 are on Instagram and Snapchat and everything. So that hasn't worked. What we need to do is empower them to make the right decisions, and it's about helping them develop that critical analysis skills. And in a world of, unregulated media, with all the social media, we've got to look at it differently, and we've got to empower the children.
When we talk about the government investing in children's well-being, what do you want to see from that?
Well, it's common sense, isn't it? If you get things right at the early years, you save the country an awful lot of money in later years on social care, justice, education and employment welfare.
But from a practical point of view, children's well-being, if the government are putting money into children's well-being, what is it?
Play. Learning through play, taking some of the pressure off, stopping that kind of pressure testing from an early age, giving children that chance to find out who they are, and they do that really well if they're given that freedom and that time and the space to play. So taking away the sort of over-scheduling, over-pressurised childhood, and helping parents feel more relaxed about how to be a good parent, because I think parents, again, are under the cosh, and they feel they don't know doing right for doing wrong, and I think they really struggle with the different pieces of advice and the kind of pressures that are put on them. So if we can just relax it all a bit, create that much more relaxed, playful, confident home life for children, they'll be able to develop those skills really naturally.
Yeah, social media is just a very small part of the pressures that children face. You mentioned school, home life. Amanda, thank you. Very interesting to talk to you. Amanda Gunner, child psychologist, talking about that Children's Society annual State of the Nation Good Childhood Report.